So one of the greatest producers of all times, DarkChild, had this to say.
The songwriting side, there's two components, right? You have the master side, which is great. Then you have the publishing side. On the streaming side, it's terrible. There's no reason why, if I got a record and it does 1 billion streams and I have the publishing on it, I should be able to buy a house from that. Wouldn't you think so?
Yeah.
1 billion streams? I couldn't even probably pay 2 months of an apartment.
Crazy.
Off
Rent
1 billion streams.
Off 1 billion streams with publishing. That's facts. It's so lopsided. That's why I still believe in radio. I tell him in a heartbeat, like literally myself, make a living off of radio. I'm like, man, it's like the streaming world. It's like night and day.
That is crazy. And you know what? I've been a big advocate saying that, you know, in my past videos on this channel and even on my other channel that, you know, mechanicals actually pay very good. Streaming actually pays very good if you own the master. That's if you own the master. If you're just a producer and you're a part of a record and you do not own the master of that record, if you're an artist and you do not own the master of that record, streaming sadly does not pay you that much, which is a sad thing. And it is true. You should be able to buy a very, very good house off of 1 billion streams. But if you don't own that master side of that, then you can kiss pretty much all of that money goodbye. That's the crazy part about it. And then that's why so many people now who are older, who understand radio, who understands the importance of radio, we always strive to get a record on the radio because I've seen how much you can make off of radio. And I mean, very quickly, I've seen how much you can make. You know, the thing about streaming is it looks good on paper until you find out that you don't really make as much because you don't own as much. And for you to have millions and millions and millions of streams and still only make crumbs compared to what the labels are making, that's crazy. And if something has to be done with that. Now, I'm still a big advocate of streaming. Like, I still like streaming because I've seen what it's done even with my own record that I put out. And I really put out my own record just to see, number one, if all artists are tripping, which most artists are tripping, with, oh man, I can't do it. I need help. I need this. I need that. And I figured out, no, you don't need that. You just need to be consistent, which I drop videos or something on my record every single week, and I get enough plays to where I actually make some pretty decent money, you know what I'm saying, every single month from the little record that I put out. Okay? It's got like over 60 million streams across all the platforms. But as we all know, that 60 million streams don't mean anything because 60 million streams, that could be TikTok views, it could be IG views, and we know that it doesn't matter how many streams you have on TikTok or IG. It only matters by how many new uploads. That's the only thing that counts, and they only pay you pennies on the dollar, less than a penny on the dollar for that. But I made some good money. I made money from radio from my record. Like, my record got picked up by a few radio stations. People played it, and I seen how much money I made from that, which is actually very good per play. And since I own the master of it, I get everything. You know, I get pretty much everything. So the good thing about it is I got a little publishing coming in, I got some streaming money coming in, and I've seen the power of what a record can do. And the thing about it is, if you look at the real streaming numbers of the record that I got, the little parody record that I got that's on my IG and that I put out, the song is called It's Friday and I'm Broke. And it's a little parody record. I just did something to have fun on my IG since I do a lot of funny IG reels and stuff like that. And I decided to make it a song. But at the end of the day, I only really have, like, to be for real, maybe 1 million streams. But I made really good money when you account the million streams, the publishing, the radio, all that stuff together. And plus I own the master. If I did not own the master of that record, I probably would have only made like $800 off of a million streams. Like, to be honest with you, between $800 and like $1,500 max, that's what I would have probably made off of it. But since I own the record, I got a little bit more. And then that's what I try to tell people who want to go into this thing saying, hey, I want to be a signed artist. I want to be a part of a label, which is cool because they give you a lot of money up front, but you miss out on a lot of money on the back end because most of the times when you sign to a label, you have to sign an agreement that they are going to get the master. And then from there, they will pay you maybe around 15 to around 18% back. However, they will take care of everything else. They'll take care of all the studio time, all the promotions, all the, everything that you think of, they'll take care of that, and a little bit more. They'll take care of some stuff you ain't even know that you had to take care of. But they take care of all of that. In exchange, you get 15%. And then you get to keep most of your show money, your independent show money. If you go on tour, they might take a little bit of that. But other than that, they take the lion's share of all of the streaming. And that's where the money is in the mechanicals when you own the master side. The composition side is cool, like you said. But when you own that master side, things are totally, totally different. That's why you see so many artists trying to go back and get their masters even 15, 20, 30 years later, because they know the power of how much that master is worth, even though it's not selling the same. It's like pretty much like this. You can have a song that can do 100 million streams, right? And you don't own that master. You get paid okay. But you can wait 20 years later and that song can only be making, let's say, it can only be getting like, let's say 15 million streams. But when you own that master, you will make more money by owning the master with less streams than you did than when the song had more streams and you didn't own it. That's how crazy it is. So imagine how much the label made when they actually owned the master. That's why radio is still very important, and I don't think people really understand that. Like, people ask, man, you still trying to get on the radio? Radio's dead. Yes, I'm trying to get on the radio, because if you have a radio hit, oh man, that money is nothing compared. You know what I'm saying? That streaming money is nothing compared to radio money at all. Nothing compared to it. And for people who say, oh man, radio is cool, but it's not there anymore. A lot of people who say that are people who have never had a radio hit, like a big hit record, or even a record that's a regional record, that's a hit around a certain region, and you get that payout. I'm telling you, it is totally different money. It's life-changing money from the jump. That's why DarkChild said it. That's why Hitmaker said it. That's why a lot of artists say it. They strive to get on the radio because they know what that radio check is going to look like compared to that streaming check, because you don't even think about the streaming money. Like when I get my stuff right now, anytime I get anything from the label, I don't even think about that money, to tell you the truth. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. I know in the beginning it was pretty big, but it still wasn't what I thought it was going to be, because I'm sitting here tallying up everything when I first got my, first big hit record, and I'm tallying up everything. I'm thinking, okay, I should be getting this. Like, this is how much I'm getting paid. But then I find out that, nah, it's not like that. Even as a producer, when you give up that master, when they take control of that, when the artist gives up that and they take control of that, because you think, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sign this producer declaration, and they're going to go ahead and take care of that. We're going to get this song out. And you're not thinking about the master and all like that, because at the time I was not as educated. And then when I give it up, it's like, okay, cool, it's straight. We got all this money coming in. I got my advance coming in from the deal because I was a part of the deal and all this stuff, and everything was looking great. Until I started tallying everything up, I'm like, hold on. dang, if I would have kept the masters, I would have made this. Now, this is 2 years later. After I'm in the game, I'm kind of learning about more and more stuff. I'm sitting thinking, dang, if I'd have just kept those masters, it would have been crazy. And then the crazy part about it was we had a deal to where they were going to sign us for a certain amount of money. And then once the money got recouped, the masters was going to be retained either way. And then we were going to go into a 80-20 situation that went 80% our way, 20% the record label's way. Now, would we have sold as many records? Probably not. But right now, I would be sitting on buku cash right now because we still would have did some radio. We still would have got out there. We still would have did the same things, but would have been on some buku crazy cash right now. But that's the things that you learn later on. So when I did my other situation, I fought tooth and nail to keep my masters. I made a ton of money that way. You know, the artists, their side, I don't know how they worked that out, but I know on my side, I was able to retain my masters on that side. In another situation, I retained a piece of the master, even I did some writing stuff because they really wanted the record and I wasn't budging off that. And it really helped me out. That's why even though I don't have as many placements as a lot of other producers, I made more because of some of the smart moves that I made. And really, it was lucky, just me being lucky and trying the system, to tell you the truth. I was like, hey, let me, can I just keep, my part of the masters, They're like, oh, no, we can't do that, this, that, whatever. I'm like, hey, it's just the producer side. Can we just work something out? The song is a hit, You already signed them. I'm just a part of the deal. This is what I want. And I had to go back and forth, and that's what had to happen. Now, my first couple situations, but after that, I learned, and even though the records didn't sell as much, I made more money than even some of the records that went gold and some of the records that went platinum. So, yeah, there is money in streaming. There's definitely money in streaming, especially if you're on the independent side and you have a record that gets big, maybe, online or somewhere, it becomes big on TikTok or IG, like, the social media type of a big type thing. If you have that, yes, you'll be cool. If it goes like super viral, yeah. But the thing about it is, if you try to sign a deal and you try to get it and you try to do some streaming, yeah, you're going to get a bag up front, but is that bag going to sustain you? Is the song going to be a radio hit? Now, if you're not looking to do radio, if you're not looking to be, signed, yeah, you can definitely do this independent, but a lot of stuff has to come out your pocket. And there's a lot of hands that you got to grease up to get where you need to go. That's just how this game is. But if you can get something going and you can retain the masters, that'll be great. But it's going to be very hard. So just understand that, when you do this type of stuff, just understand what's going to be the pros and cons with the whole situation. And then just understand of how things work and do some research. Always do some research before you decide what you want to do, and try hard to retain your masters at all costs. Then your streaming money will look good.